Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Dean Vicha, President of National Lease. Dean, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Oh, great to be here, Johnny. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. So why don't we start by you telling us a bit more about yourself and your own journey? And then I'd love to hear more, and our watchers would definitely love to hear more about National Lease, what you're doing and who your typical customers are.
So I guess maybe I'll start with how I got into the transportation industry, right? I literally started off as a truck driver, driving a meat truck for an Italian meat company in Chicago called the Rocco Meat Company, and ended up in here, I guess, serendipitously through up by any great plans or anything, but started working in the truck rental and leasing industry in 1993 on the southwest side of Chicago for a company called Rollins Truck Rental and Leasing. Held a couple roles there up into the national account team. And when they were purchased by Roger Penske in 2001, I went to work for Ryder for 5 years and learned a lot at Ryder. Also learned it wasn't the culture that I was looking for. And in 2006, I went to National Lease, which is, for those that aren't familiar with it, right, I always say we're kind of the Ace Hardware of the truck rental and leasing business. We're made up of family-run truck rental and leasing companies throughout the United States and Canada. There's 104. With 1,000 locations. We have just over 100,000 trucks on the road and about 85,000 trailers. And again, it's our family-run businesses that combine their resources under the National Lease flag and the National Lease network. And that allows them to compete with the big box stores, which in our world is the Ryders and the Penskes. So think of hardware. Think of us like the Ace Hardware, the local family-run store competing with, and if we did not have this network together and combine the resources of the group, we'd never be able to effectively compete with Ryder and Penske, just like an Ace Hardware local family hardware store would have a hard time competing with Lowe's and Home Depot without the network that they're a member for. So that's about a 60,000-foot overview of.
Well, that's a wonderful introduction and a great analogy to use on the Ace Hardware as well. And it's really very nicely set out what you do. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into a bit more about transport and trucking and where technology fits in a short while. But can I start by asking you about what you're seeing out there more broadly? What are the 2 or 3 themes in logistics in North America right now that you're seeing?
Yeah, so I think it's important to know what role we play. And I'll go in there. And there's really 2 or maybe 3 main services we provide our customers. And our typical customer is a private fleet. It's a company like Walgreens or Mondelez that has a large fleet of their own trucks, or it looks like their own trucks on the road, but they actually lease those trucks from us. We own the truck and we maintain the truck. We'll even get to the level now where we're providing the driver and the management as well, but it's strictly dedicated to our customers. So we're a little bit different than a trucking company or a carrier. I think that's important to know. So from a technology standpoint, we're really maybe servicing 3 masters, our vendors, and we want to be able to manage our vendor community and what job they're doing for us. We need to give information about how the truck is operating, how the driver is operating, and how we're performing to our customer. And we also want to receive and use data that the truck is telling us, because we're guaranteeing the maintenance of that truck. And what we promise our customer is uninterrupted transportation. And to do that, we need to be predictive and do as much upfront work on the truck and minimize breakdowns to a minimum. My goal is that our truck someday works like an airplane. And we know that when the airplane goes up, for the most part, we're all pretty confident that it's going to land where it's supposed to land. If our trucks could leave and go make their deliveries with that same confidence, I think that's a great goal that we're striving for. And quite frankly, now technology is giving us a lot more capabilities to be predictive with what we're doing to a truck, rather than reacting to a breakdown, which starts costing money the minute the truck goes to the side of the road.
Fantastic. Well, that's a seamless segue into a question about AI, really, and how you clearly are adopting technology. How does AI fit in the mix?
We talk about it now. Every Monday morning, we'll have I'll have a staff meeting with my direct reports, and every Monday now we talk about that, because quite frankly, technology is not my strength as far as where I come from. And I would even say, to a large part, transportation world is sometimes slow to adopt to technology. Our OEMs that we do business with are really strong at putting technology into trucks, but as far as utilizing it and using it and adopting it and really making it a part of our day. Sometimes I think our industry as a whole, I shouldn't speak for everybody, but at least on the asset side, we might be a little bit slow to learning it and utilizing its full capabilities. We'll do it when we have to do it. When the government regulates it, our customer tells us they have to have it, or we can find a real strong cause for how we're operating. So with AI, for right now, I've challenged our team to go out. We're a smaller company when we compare ourselves to Ryder and Penske. And I really look at AI as a great equalizer. And so maybe I don't have a staff of 100 people on our marketing team. And maybe ours is a little bit smaller, but we still have a scope and a market that's as large as the people we're competing with every day. And so I really believe AI is a great way for a company that might not have all the capabilities and the financial capabilities to go out and level the playing field. For lack of a better term, it's like a gun in a fight. A gun makes everybody a little bit equal. It doesn't matter that the other guy's twice my size. If we
Yeah.
both have one, it's more of an equal fight. And I think AI, it may be a bad analogy, but I think AI could be that, especially when I look at it from our perspective as a company that might not have as many resources as the people we're competing with.
I think that's another great analogy for sure. And yeah, definitely it's what's happening out there right now. I think you're also being a bit more, modest about National Lease. You're one of North America's largest full service trucking leasing organizations, but
Yeah.
on that path to growth, you've been president now, you've been at the company for nearly 2 decades. What have been some of the milestones of that growth journey for the business, and then perhaps on your own journey as well?
There's two pieces in it. And for us, we play a fine line between being a company that's a national company with national connections, but we also celebrate, and our culture is that of independent family-run truck leasing companies. And so I had a prior chairman once a long time ago that told me, I want National Lease to do for me what I can't do or can't do as well on my own. And so it makes us a little bit unique. So from a corporate standpoint where I sit, we're really doing things. We want our members, and that's what we call them, the 104 family companies that make up National Lease. They're the experts in their market, and they know exactly how to operate a truck for their customer in the best way possible. So we're not necessarily going to go in and tell everybody exactly how to make the hamburger. We really think that they know the best way to do it, but where we can support them, and whether that's our network of 1,000 locations. So, hey, if our member in Chicago and their truck breaks down in Denver, another family-run company is going to provide the same level of service that only a family-run company can provide, I believe, and take care of that truck while it's on the road. And then they're going to combine their resources. And those are the things that we do. They're going to combine their resources to buy trucks and to buy tires a more cost-effective way possible, minimizing their customers' cost and maximizing their ability to do business. And national accounts has been a big piece that we've worked on for these 20 or so years that I've been here. And the ability to put together a program that a company like Mondelez, where we have 21 locations with them across the country, they don't necessarily want to do business with 21 different family-run businesses, but they want the service a family-run business can only provide. So we manage that relationship. We negotiate the contracts, we order the equipment, and we manage the relationship. Meanwhile, when those trucks are actually delivering in those 21 different markets, they have a family-run company taking care of that truck on a day-to-day basis. So they get the best combination, if you will, of a large national company, but the culture, and it operates like a family-run business. And hey, people like different things, but I love a great local restaurant, and I'd much rather go there than to a big chain where it's the exact same everywhere. But if I get a high level of service and I can get it in a cost-effective way, that's a real win, and that's the secret sauce at National Lease. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what we're looking to do. And technology then provides us the ability to do better now than we've ever been able to do before, to consolidate data and information and be able to, through 21 different family-run companies, to consolidate the data and give it to a customer in a way that they can use in one place. Whereas maybe 20 years ago, they would have had to go to 20 different National Lease members to get their information.
Firstly, thank you. It does answer my first question, but that's really super interesting. I think one of the recurring themes that we've had in our series is that interplay between AI, new technology, and maintaining that human trust, the trust element, the customer
Yeah,
service. And clearly, you're very much about being the family business. That culture is very clearly you're very passionate about that, and it's very important for who you are. How do you balance that the need to bring in that gun that into the to have AI as a to give you that competitive advantage with maintaining that customer, the human touch. If you,
I think that's very important, Johnny. Hey, there's a lot of scary things I think out there, or thoughts around AI. I don't know if I can pick up a newspaper or have a conversation about it every day where somebody has a belief that AI is out there to take their job, um, or to replace them. Right? I think I saw, and I'm forgetting who he was, a professor from Harvard, give a talk around AI that was very enlightening to me. But one of the things that he talked about is, hey, there's a book out there, and I forget what it's called, but it talks about the question is, when there's going to be a first company with $1 billion valuation that has one employee, and is that possible? And it probably is. And I know a lot of folks that are utilizing it more than other people. For me, still the most important part of a business is its culture. And where I've watched businesses fail or succeed, I can usually point to culture as being what I think is the number one. Hey, you can come up with a technology, and that's great, and you can hit the market and kill it. But the companies that last, that sustain, are the ones that sustain a strong culture, I believe. And that's what matters to me. That's where I want to go to work every day. And so with that, we've been, with at least our team, say, hey, look, we've challenged everybody to come up with different ways AI can help them become more productive or help us be more valuable to our client base. And with the promise, nobody's losing their job here to AI. And I will put that in writing, and I'll do. But hey, this is all about making you successful, making you as an employee more valuable, so that you can grow in your career. And so let's find ways to use this for good, and how we can do it. But let's also do it within the parameters of our culture and who we are. And our culture being, we want our customers talking to a human being. They may be able to get something there, but boy, at the end of the day, I want them talking to a human being and having that relationship, because I believe in some ways that's going to become a more and more of a competitive advantage for us as other people look to the bottom line and say, hey, we can solve this problem through AI or some other technology. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to bet that the relationship between two people doing business together is going to trump that. But you're going to have to figure out a way to balance both. You can't, you can't just rest on the tools you're using today. But I think sometimes sitting back and watching which tools work and where to utilize them, is where the opportunity, and that's what we're going to do is watch where people have success, where it fails, and understand where it fits us in the culture we want to promote.
Yeah, I think that's an incredibly insightful way of looking at it, and clearly, yeah, you're embodying the success of the business, and with that culture first approach as well is, you're the successful where you are as a result of that as well, but maintaining a appreciation, understanding, and adoption of technology to help your employees and the business
Yeah.
to be more efficient, I guess, in that regard. So. Yeah, that sounds that's great. One of the questions we like to ask is a bit of a hindsight one. And if you had a time machine and you could go back 12 months, what would you do
What?
differently?
What would I do different?
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, Johnny, I don't know if there's a better time to ask that question than right now, because if you think about in transportation, what's occurred over the last 12 months here in the United States and North America, it's a lot. So you look, just even 2 years ago, we couldn't get enough trucks for what the demand was. So that's maybe more of a 24-month period. Going back to 12 months, 12 months of 2024. So we're at the time with both parties are having their conventions. So Donald Trump is going to be so we look at it this day, right? Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. Kamala Harris is going to be the Democratic nominee. We're going through as contentious of an election as I can remember in this country, in my lifetime anyway. And there have been some serious consequences of that election that have affected transportation. And I'm not saying whether those are good consequences or bad. I'm not going to get political on this. But the fact of the matter, the world has changed as far as mandates for electric vehicles in this country. mandates for alternative technology, how much of a focus there is on it, and even, what the government's position is on it around government regulation. There's been a tremendous amount of what we call nuclear judgments, going on in this country, where you have a lot of skin in the game as a provider as to the specs that are put on a truck, and your quote unquote liability should something go wrong on the road. And these are really affecting people's ability to have, right now to get insurance to operate their business. The freight industry. Hey, we're in the middle of a transportation recession, I believe, that I don't remember seeing since 2008. 2009, years that those of us who lived through it never wanted to live through again. We're going to order maybe 40% of the trucks this year that we would in a normal year. Last year, we did even less. But, you think about the time and the money and the commitment that has been focused on electric vehicles, whether you have a lot in your fleet or not. Even the OEMs that you buy trucks have invested billions in this, and for it to stop overnight, literally, as far as a mandate, especially in certain states, is a tremendous amount of change. We're sitting, a year ago, we'd be sitting there saying, this is how many electric trucks we have to order in each state for every internal combustion engine we want. The market is so competitive right now. Our OEM partners are closing down shifts right now and minimizing production. And our customers aren't ordering. A lot of people are holding, because certainly, right, hey, another big thing is tariffs. And that conversation hit big, let's say 5 months ago, around this date in March, I think. Is when we really started it, as I recall by memory, starting to realize, hey, this is how it is and this is how it's going to affect us. And everybody's still working through that a little bit. I know that our costs have increased, but I don't think a lot of our vendors have passed on the full cost yet. I think a lot of them have, quote unquote, eaten the cost, and they don't want to lose market share, but there's only so long you can do that. And once, right now, with the supply being here and demand being here, hey, we all took some business course who are probably watching this, right? And when that thing goes this way, I think you could really see some inflationary, pieces, because people are going to start passing things on a little bit more. So it's going to start hitting bottom lines, maybe more than we've necessarily seen it today. So, if I think there's a tremendous amount of chaos and uncertainty, and that's holding people back right now. And it's really affecting our ability to grow this year. Hey, we're maintaining and we're doing all right. And we operate in a conservative way. And right now, that mindset's paying off for us. But boy, I hope we don't have to do this much longer. But I'm not one of those who's really optimistic about the next quarter or the first part of 2026.
So maybe rather than a time machine, a very accurate crystal ball would be a much better
Hey man,
thing to have.
if you had one of those, I'd love it, but we don't. And I don't think,
Yeah.
hey, I always say, you say crystal ball. I always say, boy, I wish I had a pamphlet that told me what to do. Or I wish I had there was a case study, that had been done at the Harvard Business School or something that I could go to and say, okay, when this happens, this is how we have to react. But if you want to start from the start of COVID to now, there's never been a time where we've had to deal with these things. So you're having to make decisions. In some cases, as much as you can scientifically and with data, and sometimes with your gut as to what's going to happen, and make sure you prepare and set your company up for success down the road. I'm super, I think we've managed it as well as we can. I'm pretty proud of us and the team as to what we've done and how we've maintained the level of support for our customer base. But boy, I'm looking forward to the good times again.
Well, amen to that for sure. One more question, Dean,
Yeah.
and it's, as the name of our podcast is, the AI ripple effect. It's around AI, and
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not at all, no confidence, and 10 is extremely total confidence, how confident are you that AI will create a measurable impact in your business in the next 12 months, but also in the next 5 years?
I would say 9. I would say 9, because I think we've got quite frankly, myself and the team are excited about the capabilities. I think it's been important to let people know it's not a threat, at least in our world, to them. It's how do we use it to help you in your job today, or to take you to that next job that you're looking for as a goal. And if we act on that and make sure we minimize the threat of AI to people, and really try and learn where and how it can be a benefit, and you have to manage it, right? There's, you can't trust it implicitly. We've heard that, we've seen some of those stories already, but boy, it can help you. And hey, technology changes exponentially. Think about where this industry was 20 years ago and where we're at now for technology. From a common sense, do you think perspective, that AI is just going to become more effective down the road? I don't think you can use it as the be all end all to everything, but I think you can utilize it to really make yourself, more valuable to your customer, and really to use it in the right way to make yourself more valuable to your company or your industry. So especially when you have goals to move on, most people don't want, and I know people at National Lease don't want to be in the same position doing the same thing for the rest of their lives. Everybody wants to grow and take on different roles and more responsibility and more rewards. And AI can be a great tool for doing that. And I think those that embrace it and learn how to understand it and use the proper way to utilize it, are going to have an unfair advantage.
Dean, many thanks. It's been an absolutely great, engaging, insightful, and clearly passionate about what you're doing, National Lease, and I think that's really come across today. So thanks so much for that. If the folks out there want to get in touch with you and National Lease, where should they go? What's your website, socials?
Certainly www.nationallease.com. It'll get you to the right people. And as I mentioned on this call, somebody will follow up with you, a human being, and we will do that. But certainly we'd love to hear about people who either want to work in the industry. We're always looking for good people, whether it's at the corporate office or one of our locations, mechanics, drivers, salespeople, whatever. It's a great industry to get in. And then certainly I think we provide the best service in the industry, between being able to finance, take care of trucks anywhere somebody's at in the United States and Canada. We certainly have a passion for keeping trucks on the road. And I always say, as an old truck driver, I know what it's like to be broken down on the side of the road and being late for a delivery. And we do as good a job as anybody in making sure that our customers are on time and delivering their product the most cost-effective way possible.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'll make sure we add those links into the podcast description so everyone can find out a bit more and get in touch with a human, which was always
Sounds
good.
great.
So, well, thank you again, Dean, and thanks for everyone for joining today. And we'll see you in the next edition of the AI Ripple Effect.
Thank you, Jonny. Appreciate that.